Yeah. Right. Like I have.
I'm just going to set this here.
Okay. Good evening, Arlington Democrats. It's a good-looking crowd out there. Thank you so much for coming out for our December meeting. I think people came out for the potluck, and I don't blame you. I'm Jill Piles. I'm the chair of the Arlington Democrats, and I'm told that this is a little bit loud, so I don't know, perhaps someone could go backstage and lower it. I will try to hold the microphone a little bit down because I am loud by nature, Susan, as you know, because I'm excited to be in this room of wonderful, outstanding, hard-working Democrats. And for those who are at home, I'm excited to be with you too. But I really do feel an energy in this room tonight, a resolve. I feel like, you know, that we took a hard loss last month, but I can sense the energy already coming back and folks showing up here tonight in pretty strong numbers to say, you know, we'll take the hit, but we will keep on going on behalf of Democrats and on behalf of everyday Virginians and everyday Arlingtonians who need us to fight for democratic values and policy priorities. So thank you to every single one of you for showing up here tonight, for being excited to elect Democrats, and I'm excited to hear about the different activities that we have available for you to get engaged this month, and certainly once we get past the holidays, we will be hitting the 2022 midterms in force. And so we also have our leadership elections coming up. We're going to be hearing from a number of our candidates for that, and we have a special guest speaker who's going to talk to us about how things are going on the federal policy front with respect to Build Back Better. So action-packed meeting that will then end with a holiday potluck, and there's already food in the back of the room, so if you feel like your sugar's down or you need a drink, you can feel free to head on back there and grab something. All right, so I want to get us started. Remember to mask up if you are in the school. I see most folks have masks. If you are not speaking on, with the microphone, please do mask up. It is APS policy. All right, we are action-oriented here at Arlington Democrats. We always start with a social media challenge, which those of you who are old hats know. Let me ask, are there any new folks in the room who are new with us tonight? I thought I saw a couple of new faces. Thank you so much for coming out. Greatly appreciated. That's exciting. So welcome. I hope that your new Democratic friends around you will make sure that you get engaged and certainly that you make some new friends during the holiday potluck. I also saw we had a couple of elected officials in the room, so while we're doing welcomes, let me just acknowledge that the chair of our county board, Mandy Ferranti, is out here somewhere. I know I saw. And our sheriff, Beth Arthur, is in the back of the room. Hey guys, what did I miss? What am I not seeing? Oh, and the chair of our 8th Congressional District Democratic Committee, Margot Horner. How can I forget? Thank you. It's hard up here, folks, to focus on individual faces, so I always appreciate the help. All right, so in terms of our social media challenge, our action orientation, what I would ask you to do is please take out your phone and go to your Facebook app, if you are on Facebook, and go on over to the Arlington Democrats Facebook page. And there, you will see, pinned to the top of the page, a post that looks something like what you see on the screen here. And for those at home, it's the post that is advertising our leadership election. So as I mentioned, that is coming up. It will be next month, and we want to make sure that people are aware first that they have the opportunity to run for an office. We have a number of offices that are available. I think we have 14 elected officer positions that are on the ballot, and we have precinct captain positions in all 54 voting precincts in Arlington. So if you are looking to get involved, if you are looking to have a vote in your local Democratic committee, this is how you do it. And we want to make sure everybody has that opportunity because we are a Big Ten party, and if you want to be part of leadership, then I want you out there running. So we want to make sure anybody who wants to engage with the leadership election and run as a candidate is able to do so. And we also want to make sure that anybody who wants to come and vote in our leadership election is able to do so, has the information, is able to do so. So that's what this post is about. It's informational. Help us get the word out about that reorganization and our leadership election. So what you would do in order to make that happen is when you find this post, you hit share or like, preferably share, into your network with like a short note saying, hey, I'm running for chair, or hey, I'm going to be voting for so-and-so, whatever you'd like to say to help us to promote this and make sure we've got lots of people engaged in the local party. So hopefully if I've talked about this enough that you've had an opportunity to go ahead and share or like that into your network, with my thanks, because we absolutely can see that these social media challenges work in terms of increasing our reach within the community. And the more that we do that at times of the year like this, the more people who are following our page in the lead up to the election. So it helps us to cut down on costs of advertising and that critical lead up to the election. So there's many reasons to do it, and I thank you very much for your help with this. All right, moving right along to our reorganization meeting. So as is our tradition, we allow candidates for any office, Democratic candidates for any office, to come and address our audience about why they're running. We typically will see that most often with respect to elected offices at the government level, but we also do it for our party positions as well. And I know that we have a couple of candidates in the room who would like to announce their candidacy. And it occurs to me that we always start with sort of top of the ballot on down, so it'd be chair, deputy chair, etc. We didn't flip a coin for who's going to do chair, so we need to figure that out. Someone have a coin who can help me out here, or something we can flip.
Nobody has a coin.
No one has a coin. Oh, someone's going to help. Oh, all right. So Rose has a coin. So I know that both Steve and Matt want to announce. So Matt, what are you? Heads or tails?
Tails.
All right, Matt's tails. All right, Rose, you're on it. What do we got?
I got tails.
All right, Matt, we want to go first or second? All right, so we're going to do our chair candidate announcements first, and the first up is going to be Steve Baker. So come on down, Steve. Our candidates get 3 minutes, and you know I'm mean with the timer, so beware.
Good evening, Arlington Democrats. My name is Steve Baker, and although I have already spoken to a number of you, I am really pleased tonight to formally announce that I am running for chair of the Arlington County Democratic Committee. I am running because the work we do is so important. Electing local Democrats to make sure that our community reflects our values, supporting our statewide candidates, and flipping seats outside of Arlington. I joined the committee in 2007, was a precinct captain for 9 years, managed the farmers markets and festivals for 5 years, was a county board campaign manager twice, a joint campaign co-chair in 2014, as a member of the 8th District Committee, was elected deputy chair of the outreach committee for the state party, was deputy chair for this committee for 2 years under Kip, and more recently helped coordinate the Beyond Arlington efforts from 2017 to 2020 before I turned it over to Rose. I see 3 priorities for the committee. One is to make sure we remain a Big Ten party. The political climate has been very divisive of late, and whereas our party has always been a diverse coalition, it is so important that we keep it open and welcoming. Secondly, we need to build on the outreach committee structure that Jill put in place over the last 4 years. We need to make certain that our caucuses are not silos within the committee, but that they are working with every constituent component of the committee, like precinct ops, like communications, like voter support, and so forth, to make sure we attain our goals. And third, I want to make sure, once we do that, that everyone on the committee has a voice, that everyone is heard and appreciated. I hope to do that by bringing more discussion and conversation back to our meetings, which has been made difficult by COVID. My door will always be open. I promise to always listen. Our work together will be a collaboration and a partnership, and I know we will accomplish great things together. I invite you to join me. Again, my name is Steve Baker, and I ask for your vote on January 5th. Thank you so much.
Under 3 minutes, I love it. Okay, thank you so much, Steve. All right, next up in our chair race is Matt Royer. Again, 3 minutes. Come on down, Matt.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt Royer, and I'm running to be the next Arlington Democratic Chair. Over the past 4 years, under Jill and Maggie's leadership, Arlington has grown into a robust party, tackling the tough issues that matter to our residents, and delivering results for our Democratic candidates from the schoolhouse to the White House. However, there is still more work to be done. We have a young and growingly diverse county here. We should want our party to reflect that while retaining our long-time dedicated supporters. The young activists, the BIPOC communities, the LGBTQ plus folks, our women, the religious minorities, the working class people, and our labor unions, all of these people should be at the table when we're having conversations. We should want to garner support for Democrats from all communities, not out of necessity or out of expectation, but by giving them a reason to support us. And that means delivering on promises and holding true to our values. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I don't know everything. That is why I want to take into account all voices in the Democratic Party in decision making. Whether you're to the left or to the left of center, all those who want to be called Democrats will have a space here in the Arlington Democratic Committee to voice their opinions respectfully, constructively, and impactfully. We must continue to defend our Democrats right here at home in Arlington. This means continuing the great work of our voter support, the Joint Campaign Committee, and the volunteer teams. That means having Democratic nominees for every office when you hand out those sample ballots. And that means recruiting volunteers year-round to sustain their level of commitment so there's no burnout. I want to continue the work that we have already done in reaching beyond our borders with the Beyond Arlington Blue Families and Arlington Young Democrats, and our caucuses have done to travel to other jurisdictions. This job is not just showing up during election time. It's about showing up for our communities and our Democrats every month of the year. We have to continue to facilitate robust discussions to gauge support from our membership on issues. That also means making sure that people's voices are heard before the general election by taking primaries over any other type of nominating processes. It's that so that we can debate where our party stands from January until June, and then from June until November we support our nominees, whoever they may be. As an organizer, I know the power of our own people. So rethinking how we engage and have meetings like this, as well as other events, is super important to me. I don't want to be just talking at you. I want to be talking with you. And that means adding in a social aspect to these meetings every single time so people feel like they are making those genuine connections with one another. Let's be honest here, none of this happens without funding, and I want to make sure that we revamp our Roosevelt Obama Society for our sustaining donors and leverage our digital assets to get small dollar donations by giving them a positive reason to invest and show them what they are investing in. I invite you all to join me. I am not one to think that I'm owed anything for that matter, so I will work as hard as I can to earn your vote. Please join me and vote on January 5th. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. All right, next up we have, as far as I know, as I've heard, one candidate for deputy chair. That's Mike Heminger, so come on down.
What's up, Arlington? I'm Mike Heminger. I go by Big Mike. I'm running to be your next deputy chair. I'm running to build a party that represents all of us, one that lifts every voice and one that fights for everyone. In 1863, when Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, he said, "My whole soul is in it." Earlier this year at Joe Biden's inauguration, he also said, "My whole soul is in it." Tonight, my whole soul is in this. Bringing our party together, uniting all of us, is priority number one for me. Census data tells us that our country and our Commonwealth are more diverse than ever before. Next month, we'll have our first Black Lieutenant Governor, and we'll have our first Latino Attorney General, but they're on the Republican ticket, and Democrats are the party of equity, inclusion, and diversity. We must acknowledge that we can no longer win elections without the Black vote. We can't win without the Latino vote. We can't win without the Asian vote. We can't win without the women vote. We can't win without the LGBTQIA vote, the Native American vote, the military vote, the disability community vote, and the youth vote. We simply can't win. It will take all of us for the future. Prior to last year, the last time that Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the governor's office in Virginia was in 1993, 17-year gap. When I think about where our Commonwealth will be in 17 years from now and the control of power, I feel compelled to do my part. I'm putting it all on the line for the future of all of us. I'm running to help us use our organizing superpower to take back the House next year and to hold the line in the midterms. I'm running to expand the electoral participation process to help make our tent bigger than it's ever been before. I'm running to transform our party in an equitable way that means breaking down barriers for participation. I'm running to open the doors of communication across our great Commonwealth to accomplish our common goals. I'm running to build the bench for the future through comprehensive and diverse candidate training at all levels. This is our moment, Arlington. I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Barack Obama. Change will not come if we wait for some other time or some other person. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Check out my website, mikeheminger.com, to learn more about my experience and why I'm running. Let's get into some good trouble, Arlington. Mike Heminger, Deputy Chair, all of us.
All right, thanks very much. Okay, is there anyone else here who wanted to announce their candidacy? Oh, we got a couple. All right, so I saw Sarah first, so I'm going to point to Sarah, then I'm going to go to Bob, and then if there's anybody else. All right, so coming up next is, as far as I know, our only candidate for Precinct Operations Chair, Sarah Lanford.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Lanford, and I am running to fill the biggest shoes ever in Carol Fontaine to become the next chair of Precinct Operations. So, thank you. I've been in Arlington for about 5 years and have been working with this great team for about 3.5. And I really love the mission of Precinct Ops, right? Like making sure that your neighbors know how and when to vote. So I'm really excited to run for this position and to continue to build on the work that Carol and Fran had done with this amazing team. There are kind of a few things I want to focus on. Number one is increasing diversity within the Precinct Ops team, not just racial diversity, but also socioeconomic diversity and age diversity. Maybe get some younger folks on the Precinct Ops team. I'm also really eager to focus on MUBs and the best way we can reach people in those communities. They're difficult to get to, but I know that we have really creative thinkers in this team, so I'm excited to put our heads together and figure out the best ways to reach out to that community. And then I'm just really eager to streamline some internal processes within Precinct Ops so that our amazing volunteers get all the information they need in the most efficient way possible. So I'm looking forward to hearing if any of you have any thoughts. I welcome feedback, and I really appreciate your support in January. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Okay, Bob, come on down. I'm actually not sure what you're running for because you haven't filed yet. Get your filings in, folks. All right, so I'll hand it over to you.
I paid my fee. My petition is in the mail. But my name is Bob Platt, and I'm running for parliamentarian. I've been a precinct captain since 1990. Then when the famous Frank Leone stepped up for state and national rules offices, I filled his shoes in a by-election to become parliamentarian. I've served several times since. Then when, for some reason, Beth Arthur decided to give up the post as Sergeant-at-Arms to run for sheriff, I filled her shoes, and I served as Sergeant-at-Arms for a few years. I think I've had just about every job you can think of in the infrastructure of ACDC. Laid out the newsletter, Roosevelt Society newsletter editor, Roosevelt Society chair, you name it, I've done it. I've been a precinct captain the whole time. As several people mentioned already, we need to have a big tent party. And one way to make sure that we have a big tent party is that we respect all Democrats. And the way to make them all feel respected and welcome is to have a parliamentarian who's absolutely a straight shooter. You know, just decide things on the merits. The best parliamentarian really is seen and not heard, so we don't muck up the procedures of individual meetings, but assure everybody complete notice, procedural fairness. In that regard, I've been involved as the man drafting the charges and calls to the various caucuses. I was the one that pushed for our IRV for the school board caucuses. I've since lobbied to have it incorporated in state legislation. I've been into IRV since the 70s, where I got it successfully adopted in my university. I would really urge you all to recognize that there's a place for everyone in the party, and in some cases it's youth and enthusiasm. In other cases it's expertise and experience. I think parliamentarian is one case where we really do need a long institutional memory, a steady hand, and being a complete straight shooter. And if you trust me with this office, that's what I'll deliver to you. Thank you very much for your vote.
Thanks so much for that, Bob. All right, so we have one last candidate announcement, I believe, unless there's anybody else out there who's going to surprise me, which I'm here for it. If you want to run, we want you to run. So actually, it was on the slide, but okay. So we're going to try this out. So this is someone who couldn't be with us tonight, but he sent a video.
Hey there, good evening Arlington Democrats. My name is Paul Ruiz and I'm running to be your next Director of Communications. I'm sorry I'm on a work trip tonight, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak to my candidacy. Right off the top, I want to thank Jill, Maggie, Summer, and the entire communications crew for propelling us through this November's election. It wasn't the statewide result that we wanted, but I know the comms team, together with the Joint Campaign Committee, ran aggressively to produce over 20 distinct issue-based ads, promote our Gold Card events, and disseminate election information with compelling graphic content. We've said it before, I'll say it again, Arlington did its job, and I am especially proud of the communications campaign we put together. As communications chair for the JCC, I oversaw those initiatives. I learned how to communicate the volunteer recruitment needs of voter support, precinct operations, and the events of our many caucuses. I learned to put these functional areas first. And most importantly, I learned to listen. Because it's their work that should guide our communication strategy. My plan is threefold. First, we emphasize digital. This past cycle, we experimented with video content in addition to issue ads. We need more of that because it reaches our voters and it works. Second, we leverage our caucuses. Our caucuses are a tremendous source of strength for this committee. They're how we reach new voters and address the needs of our communities. We should listen to them and lift them up to reach our voters. Finally, we improve access to our materials. I care a lot about equity. As a visually impaired person myself, I know that feeling of exclusion when you're challenged to access something. And it's awful. We are an inclusive party, and I will make sure our materials reflect that, from American Sign Language to Spanish to subtitles. I'm former College Democrats President, Hunter Mill District Democratic Committee Secretary, and last year cast our congressional district's vote for Joe Biden at the Democratic National Convention. Equity, that's what it took last year to defeat Donald Trump, and that's how we kept Arlington blue this year. And that's what I'll give as your comms director. You have my everything to fight for our values and preserve our democratic leadership. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I'm excited. I'm excited for next year to see what this great crop of leaders is gonna produce for this committee. Don't you want to join them? I mean, aren't you excited to see what? Oh, on the computer.
Sorry.
Alright, I know, right? Really, Maggie, this is a tech fail of proportions. We've never shown Fox News at an Arlington Democrats meeting. Okay, alright, well, that ugly episode behind us. We're looking forward to our reorganization meeting, and I want all of you out there joining these incredible leaders, because I know that win or lose in their races, that they are going to be right there at the tip of the spear, leading this party. And I can't wait to see how we are going to move forward. So if you want to get involved, reorganization meeting is, again, Wednesday, January 5th. It is our first meeting of the year, it is at 7 o'clock. It is at the largest place we could locate in Arlington that would have us, which is the Lover Run Community Center. Thank you, Howard, as always, for your efforts in trying to locate places that will take us on. If you would like to file to be an elected officer, there are several spots, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but if you would like to file, you must do so by December 10th. And information about how to file is on our website, arlingtondemocrats.org/reorganization. If you would like to file as a precinct captain or as a voter in our reorganization meeting, you have a little bit longer. You have until December 27th. And again, all the information about how to file for those positions or to vote is on our website. In terms of the elected officer positions, we wanted to review this for a second. So these are the positions that are available on the screen. For those of you at home, it's chair, deputy chair, precinct ops chair, voter support chair, finance chair, press and PR chair, outreach and visibility chair, comms director, volunteer coordinator, secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms, parliamentarian, and inclusion and equity chair. So that's a lot. And we have quite a few positions where the incumbent is not seeking re-election. So if you're sitting here thinking, the fix is in, because I've never been at a meeting before, it is not. In fact, you could get involved immediately in any number of these positions. As you've heard, we haven't necessarily had filings in all of them. I don't know if we've seen every candidate who's filed tonight. I certainly haven't, but nonetheless, there's quite a few seats that it's anybody's ballgame. So we've asterisked them on this slide. We always make these slides available after the meeting, so check it out at our website, arlingtondemocrats.org, if you'd like to see which of the positions will not have an incumbent seeking re-election. As you've guessed, the chair position, I am not seeking re-election, but I'm really excited to see what the next leader will be, and I have to say, as we are coming on the end of my term, just really have been very honored to work with you. And I'll have more to say in January, but truly, as these last couple of meetings have been really special to me. There's a lot of special people in this room who I'll be grateful for forever in enabling me to play such an active role in the fight for our country's soul, which is truly what I think we're at right now. So get involved. Because it has been extremely worthwhile for me, and I know that the same will be true for you as we head into this tough midterm, but important. Okay, that's our reorg meeting. I want to keep us moving along in our agenda. We are going to be turning things over to our outreach team, who's going to let us know what they're doing, and they're going to be making their way to the front. As was said during some of the candidate announcements, it is very important that we are showing up in the community more than just at election time, and outreach is one of the key functional groups within Arlington Democrats that make sure that we hold true to that promise to be there in the community all the time. So let me turn things over to the chair of outreach, Mike Heminger.
Thank you. All right, I don't want to be the one that stands between you and the food tonight, so we'll move quick. All right, AAPI Caucus, Sandy, do you want to take it away?
Sure, yes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So I just wanted to give you some information about AAPIs. So I'm not going to go into details. We're not going to cover all this, but I'm just showing you this slide because the dark orange is thinking about the 2020 elections. Have you been contacted by the Democratic Party in the past year? Look at those large dark orange numbers. 37% Japanese, 55% Filipino, 56% Vietnamese, 62% Chinese. That is the kind of work that we have ahead of us, okay? The Democratic Party needs to reach out to those people, and that's what the AAPI caucus is all about. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Okay, so this is just some facts. 15.5 million AAPIs in the US. The largest growth is by Indians, 1.4 million at 44%. The Indians and Chinese voted most for Biden, and Vietnamese voted for Trump. So I was really curious about that, and as you know, we have a large Vietnamese population, Eaton Center and whatnot. So their reason for voting for Trump is because they say Republicans are more anti-communist and pro-business, because a lot of Vietnamese have small businesses such as restaurants and dry cleaners, whatnot. So that's why they vote for Republicans, and we have to change that, especially with this large Vietnamese population here. Okay, moving down into Virginia. So from 2012 to 2018, the number of eligible AAPI voters grew 37%. So that's 350,000 eligible AAPI voters Nearly a third, 33% of eligible AAPI voters live in Fairfax County, where AAPIs are 16% of the electorate. Now, here we are, Arlington County. AAPIs is 11%, third most after white and Hispanic. That's what we're going after. Next slide, please. Okay, I pulled this up from VAN. I'm not going to go into every single line here, but this is just, as you can see, Indians are at the top, as usual, sorry. No, anyway, so this is the likely ethnicity. We have a whole untapped population here.
Is this Arlington?
It is, yes. Next slide, please.
Wait, go back.
Okay, sure, one slide back, please.
You're not including Ethiopia.
No, this is Asian American Pacific Islanders. Okay, so this is the likely party. So, you know, I know it's hard to get the information of what ethnicity everyone is in VAN, but we have nearly 50% no data of likely AAPIs in Arlington County that we do not know. So that is untapped people we have not touched or we are hoping to touch. And and then strong Democrats is the next one, 27%. That's quite a bit. So this is what we're going to be focusing on. Next slide, please. So what are we going to do about it? You know, we had our successful Diwali event in October, and we realized, you know, because Fairfax County has a huge AAPI, mostly Indian population, we're going to work with them. We're going to see what we can do. We have, you know, we all have limited budgets, so we want to pool our resources and see what we can do. And then at our last meeting, we sat down and we looked back at what our mission was. We looked back at what our objectives were. So we're going to focus on that and create a strategy on what our actual mission and focus is. And then also, back to the Diwali event, we realized that people won't come out for political stuff. You know, especially this culture. Like they want to come out to cultural events, they want to have that sense of belonging. So we have to create that sort of bridge. And at the very first AAPI meeting that Carol invited me to back in the summer of 2018 or something, she said, you know, one of the things that was said at that meeting was about just building community, and that's what we need to do. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all this, but you know, we just have to use all of our resources from a cultural aspect. Next slide, please. And then again, continue with local businesses. Perhaps we can get the Arlington the messenger to local businesses. We would like to have a debate sometime this year as well. Next slide, please. And then lastly, you know, we decided to put out a statement for the Rittenhouse trial because it was just, I'm sure it was very jarring to everybody in this room and unfair, and we wanted to put out the statement before it got too late because it was after the steering committee. It's long, so just please visit the website and take a look and read it because it's very important, and you know, we need to continue to make change in Arlington County and the rest of the country. That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much, Sangeeta. It was awesome to hear about the caucus reflecting on their mission and vision. I thought that was so important. One of the things we did in outreach early on was ask each caucus to tell everyone why you exist and what you're going to be going after. So I have no doubt that the caucuses are going to be bigger and better than ever before next year. All right, Blue families, you're going to hear a lot of this throughout our update on outreach, but everyone's on a much-earned break. Midterms are definitely on our minds. We never get a break here in Virginia. And then lastly, just stay tuned for a January kickoff meeting. I'm sure there will be a lot of postcards to write next year. All right, Disabilities Caucus, anyone here? Hey, Dan. Give it up for Disabilities Caucus.
Thanks, Mike. just as a point of personal privilege, I just want to say that I am, by the fact that one of our candidates for office, identified as having, disabilities, I think that to me is a very hardening step. That I think that we are getting to the point where people with disabilities are feeling comfortable identifying within Arlington Democrats, within our community, and that is a testament to the the greatness of the Arlington Democratic Committee and the real outstanding work that has been going on with the outreach committees. So just a quick update, we decided to take a pause after the election just for November. We will be meeting this month, day and time TBD, but we intend to have basically a strategic planning meeting to think about how we want to advance issues of importance to the disability community. That's going to be especially important in an environment with divided government, and with some policies very possibly being advanced by the incoming Republican administration that we may have concerns about, and we fully anticipate to have concerns about. We are also looking to continue our outreach to all the members of the Arlington House and Senate delegations, as well as to county board and school board members. We've been very honored to have had Katie Crystal and Takis, as well as Delegate Patrick Hope, all come to individual meet, and also Mary Cadero come to some of our caucus meetings in the past year, as well as to have debates which included several, to co-sponsor debates that included several of the other sitting delegates, and we definitely want to make this a forum for Arlington's elected leaders to be able to both talk about some of their ideas related to the disability community and also hear from and interface with disability advocates. So more details to come. Definitely, please feel free to reach out to me or to Michael Angeloni if you want to get more involved. If you want to get more involved or want to get onto our Facebook page. And with that, I'll turn it back to Mike.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Dan. Equality Caucus is moving and grooving. All of our caucuses have a group. So if you want to learn more information about the caucuses, check out the Arlington Dems Facebook page, and under community, there's thanks so much. There's a tab for groups, okay? All right, Keith, I know I saw Keith. Hey, Keith, give it up for our Labor Caucus.
Hey, everybody. Two things, we took most of November off, but two things I wanted to talk about. One is that APS has started a new program to give students an opportunity to go to a carpenter's apprenticeship program, and they're having an open house Saturday, 11:30 to 1 at the Career Center. So please come out to the open house and support this new program. And then also, the county is has some ARPA money that's going to go towards retraining workers that were laid off from the pandemic, thanks to Matt DeFronte in the back there. We've been talking about if we can have some of the unions give people opportunities in apprenticeship programs that have been laid off from the pandemic. So those are the two things we're working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. All right, where's the business queen at? And business king. Give it up for our business caucus.
Hello, you have two of us. I'm Arbra. We're supposed to go over here because I think they're on Facebook. I'm Arbra, and this is Doug. The Business Caucus actually did not take November off because last Saturday was Small Business Saturday. So raise your hand if you've bought something from a small business. I saw Rose at One More Page Books, and all right, awesome. So it's not too late. If you missed Saturday, please go out and buy your holiday gifts. I know it's easy to go on Amazon, but please, local businesses, pandemic's not over for them. So there are a lot of great places. If you can't think of any, ask a friend, go online. I'm happy to make suggestions. And coming up on next Tuesday, December 7th, we are having an in-person, mostly sort of social meeting, but we'd also like to talk about what went well this year and start brainstorming for 2022. So it's going to be at the East Coast Coffee and Wine, which is in Clarendon, small business. We say 7:15 to 7 to 8:15. We'll actually probably go a little later. I double booked myself with a Swanson Middle School chorus concert, so Doug will be leading the first half hour of the meeting, and I hope that you'll all come, if not to talk specifically about business, to just grab a drink and say hi. We would love to have more people involved next year. We're trying to do outreach with the BIDs, the business improvement districts that have a lot of things going on. Roslyn is doing a tree lighting. I know Columbia Pike has a lot of events going on. So we'd love to have more involvement. That's it. Anything from Doug?
Good. Thank you.
All right.
All right, awesome. Latino Caucus was off for the month. It says many thanks for your leadership, Arlington Democrats. You can learn more by sending an email or checking out our Facebook group. Interfaith, again, they were off as well. Next meeting that's passed, but stay tuned to the Facebook page for their upcoming meeting. They meet every other Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. All right, Charlie, where are you at? Hey, Charlie. Give it up for Charlie, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Charlie Conrad, and I'm the chair of the Veterans Caucus right now. And first of all, thanks to everybody who helped us call and canvass during the last campaign cycle, especially on Thursday night phone banks. Also, there's one veteran who deserves a huge round of applause who donated his whole garage and half his house to the campaign this year. That's Mark Teal back there. The Veterans Caucus is not meeting, did not meet in November, will not meet this month, but we will meet after reorganization next month. Also, we'd like to invite you to join our caucus if you're a military veteran. Please see me afterwards, but we're also the military veterans and families, military family members. So if you're the spouse or the aunt or the uncle or the cousin or the brother or the sister or somebody who's been a veteran, we want you to be part of our caucus. And we're going to be reaching out more and more to people to try to increase the numbers in our caucus starting next year. And last but not least, every month we do our cereal drive. If you look in the back of the room, thank you to everybody who brought cereal tonight. We donate that cereal to AFAC on a monthly basis. Box cereal is the one item that AFAC says they need in recurring contributions because they don't get enough cereal. Cereal obviously is a meal, breakfast for children, but a lot of times they tell us bowl of cereal is a meal for a parent at the end of the day. So that's how important box cereal is. So thank you, and that's it from me.
Thank you, Charlie. I recently learned, and it should be no surprise, but we have the largest population of veterans and military families right here. So there's so much opportunity when I think about what's possible with the caucuses. All right, I'm going to pass it back over to Jill. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much to our full outreach team for all the great work. Oh, thank you. All right, we're going to turn things over now to our Precinct Ops team and Carol Fontaine. Come on out.
Good evening, Arlington Democrats. Hey there. Oh, okay, now I gotta get this right. I'm not wearing the right glasses for this. Okay, I think I can do it. I'm happy to be here tonight with you guys. There's a lot going on tonight, and I'm going to be quick. But first of all, one last time, but it's got a twist. What is Arlington's job? But we do it every year. We do it every year. This year, we got out every single last Democratic vote. I don't know exactly what the percentage was, but somebody must know what the percentage was, but I know that it was the largest turnout we've ever had in a gubernatorial race. So, yay. So, I'm very excited and pleased that Sarah Lanford is running to be chair of Precinct Ops. And I'm excited about the improvements that she plans to make. She mentioned some of them, but I know that she has others. And I know that she and Fran are going to work well together to address the needs of our precinct captains, who are the basis, the rock, the bricks that we all stand on. And they're going to work to address the needs of our area chairs and specific activities that we focused on. So that's about Precinct Ops. Let me close with this. If you are an active Democrat in Arlington, you are a part of Precinct Operations. We need you to build community in our neighborhoods. We need you to find new voters in our neighborhoods. We need you for messenger delivery. We need you for poll reading in November. And we need you to help get out every single last Democratic vote. Precinct Operations, we're a team. Please join us. You can email us at precinctoperations@arlingtondemocrats.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I almost tripped you there, sorry. Okay, so for those of you who are new, Precinct Operations, these are the Democrats in your neighborhood, right? So they're the ones that are greeting you at the polls at your local polling location. They're really the ones that are responsible for knowing the folks in their neighborhood. So that's sort of what Precinct Ops does, and outreach is out there, adding some TLC to places where we think it's needed and being present in the moment in different places. Our next group of voter support is making sure that our voters have the tools and information that they need to succeed at the polls. So I want to welcome up our chair of voter support, Marcia Johnston.
Hey everybody, feels good tonight. Good energy. So voter support, for those, I'm gonna take this off, sorry. I'm far enough away from you guys, besides I think I'm sterile. Anyway, oh no, not sterile. You know what I mean, I'm not contagious. Next slide, please. So voter support's been around since 2019. Can you hear it? Oh, I can do that. Oh, okay. It was a number of pieces that were in Precinct Operations that we decided needed to have its own attention. So, it's Carol's idea, of course. Fundamental mission, and so it has been a pleasure to run for 3 years, the 19, 20, and 2021 cycles. And I am not running for re-election, but I'm very excited. There are some of my best captains, including Sandra Brody, and I think Marjorie is going to be around. She's looking for some specific help. Paula, TV, and I think Kevin will be around for early voting poll greeting. But anyway, so I'm excited about the captains that are remaining, but I'm also excited about some of the stuff we've done. So the fundamental mission of voter support, making voting in Arlington easy, routine, and informed, right? So keep that in mind. Next, please. So these are the pieces, if you will, of voter support. So voter registration is a big piece, and that's sort of, it's not all year, but it lasts a little bit longer than some of the others. Early voting poll greeting and senior calling project. Once again, that's Marjorie. And Rise to the Polls. Oh, forgot Rise to the Polls. Also great team. I'm not sure about those two, Mary and Ann, they're still traveling around, but we'll know soon enough. I'm hoping they'll come back. So, and Sandra will be at Translation Services and working with the Latino Caucus, as Mike suggested earlier, this sort of working closer with the caucuses to make sure that we're getting the best synergy in those areas. Voter protection is sort of poll observing, and we have a good working relationship with the state party at this point. Voter information is centralizing, trying to make sure that the information that goes to primarily voting information, like dates and times and hours, that goes to a lot of it to precinct operations, precinct captains and things. It's amazing how many people want to do their own flyers when election time hits. So we were just trying to make sure the information is accurate as it goes out. Absentee ballot chase is, Bob Platt helps a lot with that. There's just getting, making sure, text banking has been very useful for that. Making sure that people return their ballots. So these are the pieces, and so the next slide, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that we've accomplished in 3 years. Next slide, please. So we have established voter registration teams and sites around the county. We sort of pivoted, we did Metro Action sort of in 19. When the pandemic hit, we pivoted to doing more in different sites around the county. Cafes, Good Company, Mega Mart in South Arlington on Columbia Pike, and the Whole Foods in Pentagon City. So anyway, this is some of the stuff that we've been doing in like places like at Mega Mart on Columbia Pike. That community now expects us to be there. They do. So they know, people know they can go and get registered to vote there or find information. So anyway, so that's some of the things, that's one thing we've done. The on-site storage at courthouse for early voting poll greeting is indispensable, believe me, it's indispensable. And I'm pretty certain that that is established and will continue. Text banking for senior calls, we have added, we did that once, I believe, and want to continue with that. The rides team added ballot witnessing for COVID and also rides to vaccinations. So those two got an award for community service for a reason. The Eric Gutschall Award that we set up this last year. Mary Byrne and Ann DeLeon. Another thing I'm particularly happy about is the increase, I mean, we've been talking about increasing outreach to communities in Arlington. And we increased Spanish and Amharic specific voter information and registration. And our website translation also took a giant leap forward. So this is something that is should continue to be of help. Right, that's one thing I'm real happy about. Again, I mentioned a strong relationship with the state party for voter protection. So these are things that are in place and should be easy to continue. Next slide, please. So the team is changing a bit, but I wanted to say again, I'm very happy with the people that are staying. And I have information and would love to talk to anybody who might be interested to lead it. I will tell you that it's a great piece of the puzzle that we do. There's lots of things, like I said, that we've set up that can be simply relaunched pretty easily, and room to grow. I mean, we've got a lot of tools out there, particularly in terms of specific outreach. So I hope to answer any questions, and there you go. Anyway, you have a question?
Do you have any statistics for how many voters you registered in the last year?
Let's see. The only one I have offhand was between September and October. It was I'm thinking that it was a month's worth. So it was about 100. There's not you know, Arlington doesn't have a huge population of unregistered voters, but it does have some. But so that's a number I would like to see bigger. But in any case, that's just one number. We also register in the spring before the primaries. So there's always a deadline for primaries and before the general. So we do registration before that. So, so again, I have lots of operational procedures, things that we have drafted on every component, pretty much every component of voter support. So I look forward to talking to you, to whoever would be interested to join. Thanks so much.
All right, big shoes to fill, but as Marcia said, she's built a great organization, so we'll be able to hit the ground running in 2022. Speaking of someone who's built a great organization and kept it going, I want to turn things over now to the head of our Beyond Arlington program, Rose Fabia.
I don't have any slides, this is going to be really quick. I am stepping down, but we need all of you next year because everything is happening outside of Arlington. And we have someone who's going to be Craig as my replacement. I don't know if it's official yet. Anyways, but I'm going to support him as much as I can. I hope you all support him. There's a potential of 100 seats for the House of Delegates. We have a chance to recapture our majority. We have a chance to keep our Abigail Spanberger, Elaine Loria, maybe even flip a congressional seat, and even join Blue Families in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. I mean, it could be one of us if you want it to be. Anyways, we need you. We need you throughout the year, even with voter registration, phone banking, canvassing, doing anything the campaigns needs. And the chair of Beyond Arlington basically is the person who coordinates, who brings the volunteers and coordinates with campaigns and keeps a schedule every week of what's happening. And so sign up and support Beyond Arlington. That's it.
All right, thank you so much, Rose. Okay, moving right along in our agenda to our most important partner in the county, the Arlington Young Democrats, who recently had their own reorganizations. I think we're going to hear all about that.
Thank you, Jill. First off, obviously I did not run for re-election for our AYD president. We had a reorganization, but before we get to that, next slide. We were the top chapter in the state for our campaigns this year. So we knocked more doors, made more phone calls than any of the other chapters in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. And it's thanks to all the work that our board and all of our members did this year. Next slide. So yes, please welcome our new e-board. Standing right here is the new president, Tenley O'Hara, who will. We also have our new vice president is Maya Jones. Our secretary is Yin Mew. Treasurer Phil Catato. Community service director Kenya Pennington. Campaign director Colleen Moore. Membership director Daniel Gray. D&I director Alistair Watson. Political director Adam Chakoff. And of course our new party rep Graydon Van. So congratulations to all of them. Next slide. We do have appointments if you want to sign up for those. We are taking those until the end of this Friday. So that is finance director, publicity director, digital director, programming, recruitment, and retention directors. So if you want to join this great group of new people, please sign up for those. We are accepting applications for anyone who is 35 and under. Next slide. So I would like to introduce our next president of AYD, Tenley O'Hara, who will just give you a few words.
Hi everyone, I'll keep this short and sweet and everything. I'm Tenley O'Hara and I'm so excited and proud to be the next president of Arlington Young Democrats. I'm have big shoes to fill for Matt right here. But this past year there were some lows, but there were some highs here, especially here in Arlington. And we're working a lot this year to build our organization to help get out the vote more. We're hoping to increase our membership, maintain and increase diversity, and help elect Democrats at the local, state, and federal level. I'm also so excited to work with Earl Dems and coordinate on all of these other efforts. Thanks.
Next slide. And you thought you got rid of me and Mike, but you didn't. Because me and Mike just got appointed to be national officers for the Young Democrats of America. Mike will be serving as the Rules Committee Secretary. I will be serving as the YDA Comms Director for the entirety of the country. So that's very exciting. We're very happy to be representing Arlington there. Next slide. We will be continuing to do our wreath laying as we do every year at Arlington National Cemetery. That's on December 18th and at 8:45 in the morning. So get up early with us and come lay some wreaths. We are signing up people on Facebook and via the Google form so that we can all come together because of the COVID restrictions. We need to make sure that we're signing up all as one. Next slide. And of course, right afterwards, we will have our holiday brunch where we will swear in our new board as well as hand out end of year awards and make sure that we're celebrating all the great work that we've done here with the Arlington Young Democrats. I think that's the last slide. Yes, so thank you all again. It's been great serving as AYD's president, and I will continue to work with you all one way or the other. So thank you so much, and we'll turn it back to Jill.
All right, thank you, Arlington Young Democrats. Let's give them another round of applause for leading the entire state in campaign activities this past year. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your leadership. Okay, we're moving right along through the agenda, and really excited this month to be welcoming a special guest. We usually have a speaker from either our county board or our school board. This month, we're doing something a little bit different. We're welcoming a special guest from the U.S. Congress who is going to tell us all about how Build Back Better is going from a policy perspective. So please help me to welcome up to the stage our special guest speaker, Jennifer Reynolds-Wheelock. Come on down.
Thanks so much. You all didn't know you were going to get to hear about the federal budget issues tonight. I love talking about them and love what I do, and excited to sort of talk a little bit with you all about this, about what's going on and what we've been working on. The budget committees have jurisdiction over reconciliation legislation, so between the American Rescue Plan and now Build Back Better, it has been a very, very busy year. I'm actually not going to be focusing just on Build Back Better, but I wanted to particularly have a chance to talk about infrastructure and Build Back Better together. But just to give you a quick overview of what we've done, obviously you all know what the American Rescue Plan was. We've got the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, which I would call it $550 billion of new money. And now Build Back Better, which is nearly $2 trillion. That's before the offsets, and that's obviously been in the news. Where we passed it just before Thanksgiving, and there was a lot of discussion about what the score of it was and whether or not it paid for itself, and I'm happy to answer further questions on that. The only thing I kind of really want to point out here is that, as you all are aware, American Rescue Plan and Build Back Better have been done through the reconciliation process, which means Dems, these are going to be straight party line votes, and the IIJA has been bipartisan, and while reconciliation is a way to get around the 60-vote majority in the Senate, it does come with limitations in terms of what we can do. It has to be budgetary in nature. There's a lot of policy we can't do, and particularly as we're working on Build Back Better, where these are intended to be transformational long-term investments, because reconciliation does not let us incur any deficit spending beyond 2031. So we want them to be long-term transformational investments, but because of the Berg rule, they can't be too long-term. And so we have to make sure that all that's sort of cut off before 2031. And that's just important, as thinking about how these things are going to play out. And there's a lot of policy stuff that we can't do in reconciliation. And that we were able to do in the infrastructure bill. Not going to spend a lot of time on what the American Rescue Plan did, because you all should, we've done it, right? But the caution for me here is, already I think we're hearing people say, what did I get from that? They've forgotten about the stimulus checks. They're asking questions not just in Arlington, but across the country. What did schools spend the money on, right? And a lot of people just simply don't even know about the huge chunk of money that we gave to every state government, every city government, every county government, every town in America, right? $350 billion. And I think people know about the schools and they know about the checks, but they really don't know about some of these other things. And particularly, and I love both the earlier ARPA shout out and the work that I know that the county's been doing to sort of say, hey, this is what we're spending the money on. But that's just something that I feel like both, not just for ARPA, but then moving forward with infrastructure and BBB, how are we talking about this at every level of government? This is what your taxpayer dollars are doing, right? So that's that was kind of where I wanted to spend a little bit of time there. Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. This is the estiest of bills, right? This is actually really, to me, this is a very exciting bill. It's going to be incredibly transformational. The largest dedicated bridge investment since the interstate highway system. It's aiming to eliminate lead pipes in America, and the largest federal investment in public transit in US history. They're actually looking to replace every single school bus in America with zero emission buses. It's huge. Also, they're looking also to, there are significant investments to make every public transportation stop, hub, or whatever you might, station ADA accessible. I mean, these are just really fundamentally transformative things that this will do. And adding an average of 1.5 million jobs each year for the next decade, right? That's huge stuff. What I wanted to sort of share here is I found this chart from Brookings, and the IIJA and BBB, the infrastructure investments that are in BBB, the harder infrastructure investments that are in that. If you combine those two together, it will be more infrastructure spending than we saw in the New Deal, and not quite, and just below what we saw in the 1970s, right? So this is truly transformational work that we're doing. And then Build Back Better, obviously, so we passed it in the House just before Thanksgiving. It's now gone to the Senate and getting a scrub there. We'll be moving forward with it. This is, it's tremendous. I brought the report that we put out for the House Budget Committee that's 5 pages long and simply just a laundry list of all the programs that are in it. And you all certainly know most of the big things that it's doing. The universal pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds, subsidized childcare for kids under 6, extends the expanding the healthcare coverage, universal paid leave if it stays in, hopefully, and then also again the largest investment in climate change efforts with $550 billion there as well too. And then I think just as exciting is sort of the tax fairness that it brings back, and that's how it's paying for itself, largely speaking. Give or take $100 billion or so between friends. So with surtaxes on those making more than 10 million, and those making an additional surtax for those making over 25 million, the IRS investments that technically, if you've been following the news, technically can't be scored, but will still help diminish the tax gap and help diminish the $7 trillion tax gap from those who don't sort of pay their fair share over a decade, and then ensuring that large corporations also pay their fair share with some additional sort of taxes on those corporations that make up more than $1 billion in profits. And those are some of the pay-fors that are in it. So we've been extremely busy with it. We'll certainly, looking forward to getting it across the finish line as it moves now to the Senate. And then, just touching briefly, so obviously we have a few other big things to clear up before the end of the year. That's obviously avoiding a government shutdown, dealing with the debt limit, and then less sexy, less in the news, but avoiding sequestration, which is sort of mandatory across the board cuts to farm programs and things like that. So we still have quite a few things on the congressional calendar to clear before we can adjourn for the year. But I wanted to sort of just give a little sort of overview of what we've been doing, and as we sort of think about going into the midterms and how we are going to position these things and how people are aware of it and thinking about it and messaging sort of about it at every level of organization. Thank you. Any questions? In the back? Yeah, so in the bill, I mean, obviously the U.S. Department of Ed, their Inspector General will be following on those things. GAO received a lot of money in ARPA for oversight matters. I think that while the law required that the bill spent 20% on learning loss, and that then the U.S. Department of Education had additional requirements put into place on sort of community engagement and those kinds of things that were supposed to happen with it. I think it's there weren't. This is again one of the shortcomings of reconciliation. There are fewer of those kinds of guardrails that you can put into place in the reconciliation package, and I think Representative Scott sort of has actually sort of addressed this, like, well, the intent of the bill was to do this. Could you say that it could be spent on anything? Yes, but and so I think that there are definitely some avenues in which that people will be pursuing, to hold schools responsible for sort of spending the money in ways that it was intended for. I do think this is one of the pitfalls also of reconciliation too, that there are just fewer guardrails. What's that? So in Arlington, we received 20 million or so for that. I know that roughly half of that was used on the virtual learning program. Another, 4 million or so was used for summer school. And then, we hired 12 new, I'm also now on the APS Budget Advisory Committee. Like, I sort of really love this stuff. We hired 12 new reading and math coaches at the elementary school level, which is great, but keep in mind there are about 26 elementary schools, so so that's good. But those are the ways in which Arlington Public Schools have sort of used the money. But with the largest chunk of the 20 million or so that they received going towards summer school and virtual learning, and then a few other pots in there.
That's interesting because I understand that the summer school this year served less students than it had in previous years. So
Yes?
Do you know the prospects of getting the Build Back Better bill through the Senate, and if any changes made, again passed by the House, and having the bill on the president's desk before Christmas?
I think that's certainly the plan, for sure. I mean, and I think we're going to get it done, right? We've come this far, we're going to get it done. We can't afford to fail, frankly. It will get through the Senate. My sense, and this is just my personal sense, is that what we've passed in the House, it's going to be pretty close to what they passed through the Senate. There will be changes because there will be a vote-a-rama in the Senate. And I think my greatest concern is that we could lose paid leave, depending on Senator Manchin's views on that, but I certainly hope that it stays in. But we will get it through the Senate, and it will have to come back to the House. I think that we've already taken the vote on it. I think we will have the votes to pass it again. I think, again, it's just simply, we simply can't fail on it. And, I think we're on track to have it done before Christmas, but, the time allowed is the time it takes. So.
Thank you.
Yes?
On the infrastructure bill, I think I missed the explanation of what the new, I think it was 500 billion and the other.
Yeah, let me just go back here. And this is just, how do you count these things, right? Oh, wait a second, hold on, oops. There we go. Nope. Where am I at? Here we go. So, and this was actually, as I was putting this together, I was like, oh, what's the right number? In the press, you'll see 1.2 trillion. That is counting nearly 600 billion of authorizations of appropriations, money that a future Congress will have to choose to spend, right? So they've authorized 600 billion of new things. And it also includes a certain level of, I'll try not to get too wonky here, baseline spending. So if we simply just reauthorize the old bill, there's a certain level of spending that just would have occurred, right? And it's not new money, it's just a straight reauthorization of it. And so there's some money in that 1.2 trillion that was already kind of baked in, I guess. And that's all part of that 1.2 trillion. But really there's about 550 billion of new money. And it's not to say that the other money isn't real, it's just either it's baked in or it has to be appropriated by a future Congress, right?
So in the scoring, then, so could we say that it's not going to put, since it's already in there, did they score it again?
No. So if money is in the baseline, it doesn't that doesn't score, right? And in fact, actually, if you were to look at CBO's score of IIJA, I want to say that if it's $550 billion of new money, and that's not including that baked in money, right? So there's $550 billion of new money. It's actually, in fact, CBO's score, because there are significant offsets in it, it's around 250 billion or so is what the deficit impact is of the bill. So the money that's baked in doesn't get counted twice.
So that's really important message, especially for the arguments on the other side about inflationary impact.
Absolutely. I think that's very true for both IIJA and Build Back Better. That particularly since that one, they are largely offset. And two, they unlike ARP, which was targeted short-term, get the money out the door, these are long-term investments that are going to go out over, certainly for IIJA, not just a 10-year period, but much longer than that. Build Back Better, again, because of reconciliation, we actually have to, we are working very hard to make sure that CBO is not scoring anything outside of the window, out past 2031. And that's why so many of the things that are that we really like in it are not permanent for a variety of reasons, but that's one of the reasons. Yep.
So are any of these programs going to be in place so they'll be visible to voters in time for the midterm elections, or are they just going to see the costs and not see the benefits before the next election?
I do think that's going to be a challenge, right? If I'm just, again, speaking just personally, I think that's going to be a challenge. I think particularly for the infrastructure stuff, which is just going to be slower moving, I think we are going to see things very quickly. For some things will be more quick than others. For example, the child care subsidies for the lowest sort of income earners, those are things that will start taking effect next year. They won't really trickle up to higher income earners until a little bit later, but they'll go out the door very quickly. There are things like home-based community care services that the disability community is very concerned about, that those will be benefits that are sort of immediately felt. There will be, the universal pre-K is probably going to take a little bit of time to work up. My concern is about paid leave is that the way it's currently designed is that it doesn't take effect until 2023. And I don't know the ins and outs of why that's the policy, but that's a little bit concerning to me that won't take effect. So everybody will be like, oh, we enacted it. And it's like, oh, no, you don't get it till 2023. Wait on having a child. Don't have a parent get ill. So I do think that that's going to be a challenge. But I think that there will be things that we will see and be able to talk about. And I actually think that because unlike ARPA, which, it's November and people are already forgetting what happened in March. We get these things passed now. We'll start seeing the effects of some of these more next summer. I think, in the spring, summer, we'll start to see some of this, I think more, and we'll be able to point to things in communities that we're working on because of this legislation. Yes.
A little bit to something you said and piggybacking on Sam's question. So is there somebody, everybody knows we're notoriously bad at messaging, because we like to get into the weeds, it's the policy, right? So is somebody going to be already looking at messaging, particularly if some of these things are not underway enough for people to see them? Is there somebody at DNC who's already looking at how to get that message out so that it does hit voters before?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of concern and interest in trying to sort of message these things. And these are things that we are working on all the time on. Everyone has limited bandwidth. I sort of doubt that many of you are following the House Budget Committee on Twitter, right? But these are certainly things that we work on too. And in fact, actually, I just had to approve a whole batch of tweets on this is how communities are spending American Rescue Plan funds, right? And so I actually just was approving a whole batch of tweets on that. So there are things that we're thinking about. We're actually already thinking too about what are the hearings that we want to have to tell the story of what would have happened without ARPA, without some of the other things. What are the kinds of things that we're going to be doing with this? So we're already sort of thinking about that, certainly for our committee, and I'm certainly sure that the leadership, congressional leadership in the White House are thinking thinking a lot about how they're going to be messaging this. Yes.
I'm concerned about the state and local tax increase deduction that seems to be completely counter to the spirit of all the rest of this, which is to help people who need help. And that's going to be characterized truly as reducing taxes for the rich. And I'm really concerned about that.
No, I think that's very fair, and I think that we've thought about how to message that as sort of as well too. I do think that that's another one that, like paid leave, is we'll have to see how that comes back from the Senate, right? Because those conversations are ongoing, and we know that there are a number of Democratic senators who have and including Senator Sanders, who's the chair of the Senate Budget Committee, who have concerns about it. And I think we'll have to see how that is changed and how it comes back. What's interesting actually is, let me just enjoy my wonky moment for a second, is the way it's designed, even though it is problematic. It actually, the way it's designed and the way that it works from a cost perspective is that it actually ends up, it costs money in the first 5 years, and then it actually saves money in the last 5 years. So we got a lot of savings that we were able to put towards other things. And it's just the way that the underlying law interacts with the policy design. But that's besides the point and really down a budget rabbit hole. But it certainly will come back different than I would anticipate it comes back different than what we sent it over to the Senate as. Anyone else? Yep. Yeah, so the House passed a bill. It did include, I want to make sure I have the words correct. We sent the bill over with a provision that provided temporary parole protection for undocumented immigrants who entered before 2011. And that was sort of where we ended up after many other efforts with the Office of the Senate Parliamentarian failed. I'll be honest and say that I might be surprised if it stays in. I think that based on the rulings of the other items, I think that the policy weight of that provision outweighs the budgetary weight of that provision, where a reconciliation bill should be budgetary in nature, right? And I think that's where the office's decisions have come down in sort of weighing the policy weight versus the budgetary weight. And that's, again, this is just the shortcoming of doing this through reconciliation, right? we would not have that if we chose to abolish the filibuster, for example, and do this some other way. Yep.
Do you think any of the environmental climate change provisions are going to be weakened anymore by people like Manchin?
It's certainly possible. I mean, I think, we'll have to see what comes back. Yeah, I'm not privy to to that level of the conversations. Yep.
So if Republicans win back Congress, like how protected will these funds be from being rolled back in the future?
They're not. Nothing's permanent. I mean, we're rolling back the tax cuts, right? That we're doing it in slightly different ways, but yeah, no, they're not. And that would be definitely my concern if they. I mean, I have greater concerns than just this legislation if they take back the Congress. But yeah, they will absolutely be repealing these things, and they will have several $1 trillion of offsets to give more tax cuts and have a deficit neutral tax cut bill with these offsets. And I think that is very concerning, right? These are not permanent things. I think too, other things too that we're sort of seeing, just as we saw with the Affordable Care Act and red state buy into things like the child care subsidies, the universal pre-K, states will have to opt into that. And so, I mean, I'm already wondering, about the red state, blue state divide over that kind of policy.
We're not going to let them retake the Congress.
Thanks all.
That was super interesting, and what a wonky crowd with all these questions. I was really engaged, so that's awesome to see. So thank you again for coming and letting us know about the path of this important legislation through Congress and how Democrats are getting it done for Americans. So maybe we'll be welcoming you back sometime in the future since this was so well received. Thank you. And folks, we are almost done with our meeting. I did want to just mention upcoming events. We will be having our traditional New Year's Day potluck by popular demand. Looking for a venue, so if you have a home that you'd like to open up for this event, let me know. But I'm confident we will find somewhere to have this event. So mark your calendars. I think it's noon, New Year's Day, and we will be looking forward to seeing everybody there. And I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you so much. I agree with Marcia. The energy in this room has been excellent. I am excited for next year. I'm also excited for a holiday party potluck. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the meeting to a close. Thank you to the folks who joined us at home. Always a pleasure to see you. We mostly got everybody on screen this time around, and we'll be looking forward to seeing everybody in the new year. So thanks very much and happy holidays.